Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Trading Brains. I'm your host, Evan Greif, here with my co-host, Angelo Messina, as always. Uh, Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here with us. And I know that we've recently been covering coronavirus in our recent episodes. Just to clarify one thing from those episodes, and we'll revisit it again, I think, in another episode on coronavirus later. But Angelo, could you talk about that
Yeah, so
medicine?
like with the recent stuff, when we did create that episode, there was that one thing about hydrochloroquine that like people are using it constantly, or not constantly, but they've been using it in clinical trials. But like later on, from developing stories that we found out that it does cause um, heart palpitation, heart attacks, heart arrhythmia.
Mhm.
So that went from a promising thing to not so promising real quick.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So we just want to clear the air. Like, obviously, when we did talk about that medicine or that drug on our previous podcast, we weren't saying that it's 100% going to be a cure, just that from what we were hearing out there in the media world was that it was promising, but not very good right now. And it just has to be tested more, right? Every single drug that's out there right now just has to be thoroughly and completely vetted. So, bringing us back to today's topic, we're not going to do coronavirus today. Today, we're going to do another episode on our mini segment of different like alcoholic beverages. We did beer last time, I think.
yeah.
I think it was beer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we're going to go through a bunch of other ones, but for today, we're going to do vodka. And uh,
Vodka.
yes, vodka. Is that how you say it? How the cool kids say it?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not cool, so I don't know how they say it.
Angela, I think you're cool, or at least I'm sure your mom thinks you're cool.
Yes, she
Um,
actually tells me.
nice, awesome. Yeah, so gonna talk about vodka today, and basically kind of like we did with beer, where we're gonna talk about the origin of the beverage, how it's manufactured, some small trivia, and popular brands, and then finally talk about drinking styles really quick. Um, but to get started, in my research about vodka and the origin of it, it's a clear distilled spirit and it originated most likely in Poland and Russia, as you would think, right? Um, and it's made mostly of water and ethanol, which is the ethanol is made by distilling liquid from fermented potatoes or cereal grains. And this is kind of trivia, but I guess it's mostly history. The word vodka itself is a diminutive version of the Slavic word voda, which means water, right? So vodka means like kind of like pure water. Um, a diminutive word, right, would be like in Italian you have casa, casetta, casettina.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's diminutive in the sense it's saying like, oh, it's great
It's
water, like
basically like
wonderful
water.
water, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like water, and I mean, it looks like water, right?
Hmm.
It's very, very clear
You put it
distilled
into a
spirit.
clear bottle. It's transparent.
Yeah,
We don't condone sneaking a bottle of vodka around, but you can.
yeah, yeah. Definitely don't consume copious amounts of vodka.
Be responsible.
Yes, of
Be
course.
responsible. That's it.
So I'm gonna butcher this, but the word vodka itself was recorded for the first time in writing in 1405 in Akta Grodzki, right? I think that's how you say it. The court
I'm gonna
documents.
give you an A plus on that.
Okay, thank you. From the Palatinate of Sandomierz, in Poland,
C
right?
minus on
So
that.
yeah, right. I don't know. I'm not even gonna try it again. At the time, vodka referred to medicines and cosmetic products. I didn't know about that. Uh,
Huh.
I mean, you could think of it working as a
Well, I
medicine,
can
but
see
I
it being
never thought about it being in cosmetic products.
medicinal, like medicines, because it does like they sanitize like a wound, like will clear out the
Oh yeah,
wound,
yeah.
any
Of course, of course.
bacteria or anything like that. So it does have like a medicinal, but like other besides that, like I want to know what cosmetics though. Like how
Yeah,
would
yeah. So, I mean, vodka, the word, just not thinking of it as the alcohol, but just the way you say,
Mhm.
vodka, was medicines and cosmetic products. But the actual beverage at the time was called gorzalka, which is from the old Polish gorsek, which means to burn,
Hmm.
which is like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's very on the nose, but it makes sense. And for a lot of the centuries, leading up to modern vodka that we have today, the actual beverage that you drank was really different from today's vodka. It had different flavor, different color, different smell, and of course was used as medicine. Even at the time, it doesn't have as much of alcohol as it does now, but it had about 14% back then. So that's kind of like wine, you
Hmm.
know.
It's
Um,
just about that same alcohol percentage as wine. I think back then they didn't have the machineries or the equipment to
mm,
distill from 14 to 40 to like the
yeah,
normal standard.
and to make it
Um,
so concentrated.
mhm. But I think they were able to change the flavors a lot more and play with it by adding different grains or other stuff, fruits to the fermented potatoes.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that was
Uh,
actually pretty cool.
in my research of this, I was also looking at other alcohols, and I had noticed that a lot of the alcohols that we have today started out from distilled wine, right?
Hmm.
Um, and that's of course lower alcohol content than a lot of the alcoholic beverages we have around today.
I
So,
can see that as a more of capital gain, a
mhm,
capital issue because like with just making wine, you don't need the heavy like you don't need another set of columns, stills, and to basically another whole day process to basically to increase the alcohol content to remove all the methanol. It's just with wine, you just throw some yeast, you throw whatever you want the yeast to munch on,
mhm.
and water, and put that in a dark place and come back in 2 weeks or a month, depending on what type of stuff you are working on.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. The actual still, right, that lets you distill the alcohol uh got increased and allowed them to raise the alcohol content level in the 8th century. So pretty much before that, it was just medicine, cosmetic products. It wasn't for drinking.
mhm.
Um, so moving on to manufacturing, since the 1890s, standard vodkas have been designated to be around 40%. Was it alcohol by volume? I think ABV.
Mhm.
Uh, and a lot of this was designated by royalty in the nations, of Poland and Russia. And, they were pretty much like the royal families owned all of the distilleries and said like, okay, a vodka is 40%, alcohol by volume. You have to make it at 40%.
Mhm.
Uh, and even today, there's a lot of the brands coming out of Russia and coming out of Poland have pretty much designated where it's like a giant group of all of the different vodka distilleries saying, okay, this is what vodka is, and if you're not making it this, then you can't call it, Russian vodka, or you can't call it Polish vodka or something like that. So, um, vodka itself is distilled from any starch or sugar-rich plant. And most vodka today is produced from grains, corn, rye, wheat, and among the grain vodkas, rye and wheat are considered superior rather than sorghum and corn. I mean, what's wrong with corn? Corn's cool.
Corn's cool.
Yeah, corn's cool.
I think it's probably the flavor that they don't get. It's probably the flavor profile that comes out of corn and probably
Mm,
with rye, or not even rye, or I think with the other grains, it's producing more of a clear, not a different color. And
yeah,
it,
yeah. It's probably they're thinking about the purity of it. Hmm. Yeah. Well, some more I guess history about vodka itself. After World War II, all of the vodka distilleries were taken over by Poland's kind of like left-wing Marxist-Leninist government, and during the martial law of the 1980s, selling vodka was rationed because there wasn't enough production and there was a lot of demand for it. This goes against kind of the purity laws that they would come up with, but some brands today use fruits or sugars to add flavoring as the base of their vodka when they're distilling it.
Yeah, like the most popular ones is Stoli Shania. I don't know how would you pronounce it?
Stolenaya?
Stoliana?
Stoli? They just call it Stoli for short.
Stoli, yeah.
Yeah.
Stoli Absolute Vodka as
Absolute is actually Swedish.
yeah.
And Sweden didn't start making vodka until way later, maybe in like the 1600s. Yeah.
I know Ciroc from France or Grey Goose as well. Those are another popular vodka brands that are with some flavors. Definitely with Ciroc. It's a little bit on the pricier side. Depends on which one you want to go after.
Well, Stolenaya is quite expensive as well because it's a premium vodka.
Yeah.
Right? Russian Standard I think is a little bit less pricey, but it's still a great vodka. Yeah.
But
no, I was just thinking like in Sweden they did start making vodka early on, but Swedish vodka itself, in terms of absolute vodka, didn't really get popular until the 80s. Yeah.
Okay. They were probably just keeping it for themselves and not like it's only staying in the Scandinavia part of it.
Yeah, maybe. Well, a lot of the not only the population but the distilleries that operate in Russia and Poland argue that like if it's not made in those areas, it's not really vodka. It's not actual vodka. Which honestly, like a lot of places do that, right? Tequila distilleries, if it's not made in Mexico, then it's not really tequila.
Yeah. And a different kind of other stuff that they make with tequila, or certain other places that have like with Scottish like Scotch. If it's not from there, it's like a different kind of malt. Or like Irish whiskey. That's another one. Like it's whiskey. It's like the Irish whiskey that they use a type of corn, or not a type of corn, but corn and whatever else they use. And then it's like from Ireland as well. So that's another on top of it. Or another one, champagne. If it's not a part in like champagne or like France.
Oh yeah, yes.
Sparkling wine.
Yeah.
So if you don't get like the grapes have to come from that part of France, and if it's not, it's sparkling wine.
Yeah. Which is fine by me. Like I like sparkling wine. It's all right.
It's just a naming rights. That's
yeah.
What I feel like.
Yeah.
But like I feel like with vodka is like a go-to popular drink, like around like females, males, and like people drink it like lemon drops, like whatever you call your shots or however you want to call it.
I love screwdrivers. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, especially during brunch time. It's all depends. Like a lot of people like it over ice, chilled shots. Like they kind of shake it with the ice or whatever mixture.
Yeah, chilled
is really good.
Chilled is great. Chilled shots. They do. They go down.
They go down.
Yeah, they go down, man. Just neck it. Just neck it. Take one back.
Again.
Yeah, those can be dangerous though. Obviously we don't condone in irresponsible amounts of drinking. Just but there's no harm in enjoying it.
Yeah, if you do want to drink, if you're above the age, drink at a moderate level.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it depends on like how I think with like vodka and all the other alcohols, it's people have different styles. I like with vodka, I do like Stoli orange. They have like the orange flavor, and I put that with soda, and that's like normally my summer drink.
I think it's good to do that with soda because you already have the orange flavor, and a lot of people who drink vodka say like you shouldn't I mean, I said it like screwdrivers and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. That's just my preference. But a lot of people who like high end vodka, and I honestly think it should go for all high end alcohols. You should
Mm-hmm.
try not to mix it with something,
Yeah,
because you
drink
really
you want
want
it, so
to
you want
enjoy
it.
the yeah. Yeah. So if it's like high end, you're gonna want to drink it straight or neat. Don't mix with anything. You could use ice, or just put it in the freezer and have the
Exactly.
glass be chilled.
So that, and I know there's a lot of fancy ones like vodka martinis, Cosmos, Bloody Mary for brunch. With on top of that, on top of with screwdrivers as well.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't had a Bloody Mary in a while.
Moscow Mule that does require like a copper mug, but that's also really good with the type of vodka that you use. I know now they're
I
trying to
didn't
go
know.
in more gluten-free vodka, so they're using different kind of grains instead of like potatoes or it's all potatoes just because of the gluten stuff. People can't drink it,
Yeah,
but a
yeah.
lot of people with all gluten, it's is on the edge with that. So just be careful. Do look at different brands. Some brands, I think, like Tito's, Kettle One is for
Yeah,
like
Tito's.
gluten free people. Just like I said, look at the label, double check it again.
I think it's interesting that the spirit industry is actually looking at gluten-free
Mhm.
variations of their alcohols. I didn't think that they would really try to tap that market.
It just now I feel like now with all the allergies are coming out, I think it has to be noticed and
Mm,
people know about it as well, just in case they do develop it. So
yeah.
um, I feel like vodka is always an interesting how it started. And I forgot a movie. I was like, I really did forget. There's a movie that I was like watching. I think it was like during the World War II. It's about like a group of Russian people or Polish people. It's one of those two, and they go into a forest and they kind of like camp there, and they try and like survive off of like growing potatoes. And one of the guys in there, they start making it because everyone was depressed and not like. So his whole premise was to create like to make the vodka for everyone, so they have something to kill off the edge. And I feel like
Hmm.
that like even like alcohol, yeah, there's other like the banter, not banter, but all like the negativity that they have on alcohol. But basically, with alcohol, it's to celebrate. You use something to celebrate
Yeah.
with others for social events.
I would say everything in moderation, you know,
Oh,
uh, because people say like, oh, alcohol is poison. Like, how could you do that to your body? And it's not good for you. But
hmm
it's to some others people, it's a social lubricant and it helps you get out of your shell. But again, in moderation, right?
hmm
Uh, you have to be able to drink responsibly, and that's not always easy, but uh,
just
you know,
surround
you just
yourself
got to
with
do
good
it.
people. Surround yourself with
Yeah,
good people. Have a good time, and keep tabs on how much you're drinking. I know a
yeah,
lot of people with. I know it's kind of hard with vodka, or whatever, but I know with other type of drinks, like with beer, like if you can keep the tabs and put it in your pocket. You could know how much. Vodka, you could put put a mark on your hand, or put a. Now we have phones and technology. Put a slash on your phone. Be like how many times I drank, how many
yeah.
drinks I
There's
had.
probably an app for that too, right?
There's always something to be more responsible and thinking if you don't have that stuff in control, or pick a friend that you can trust and be like, hey, you're watching. If I get too crazy, let me know, slap me, do something to not have that extra drink to go over the
Yeah,
edge.
yeah.
So
But when you're enjoying these kinds of drinks, no, I mean, and again, this doesn't just go for vodka, but you want to really sit down, and if you're drinking a high end, one, you don't want to be drinking this at like a dive bar somewhere, or I don't know, some
no.
club or whatever.
Out with some people if you want to taste this new vodka at a wedding, someone's graduated from a class or type of school, or new promotion, whatever, something a little bit more than a dive bar that you're by yourself and you want to enjoy something. Or I know a lot of people, what they're doing are collecting the bottles and keeping them for their own personal bar. That's also another way you could do it. So
Yeah, that's true. I have a cousin who has his own personal
that'd be
bar.
that's something I want to work on it later on in life. Have like my own personal bar, in not like just like when people are coming over, I have like a selection of drinks for them.
Yeah. Oh, I
That's something.
mean, it's honestly for me, like having those kinds of alcohols is made 100,000 times better by having good company, to share it with. So, yeah. And that's why we were talking about it earlier. Alcohol is a social lubricant. It's,
Mhm.
uh,
Is there anything else you want to add on vodka? The
for
history,
vodka, no. I mean, I pretty much talked all that I can about vodka, about vodka, right?
vodka. Huh. Well, guys,
A-.
thank you. Thank you guys for listening for this week episode of Trading Brains.
Yes, thanks for
Um,
being here.
Next, we're gonna talk about the other kinds. We still want to cover whiskey, tequila, rum, gin, and I think that's all we want to hit as right now. I know there's others, but those are the main ones that we want to hit. Just make sure to like, follow us, subscribe, whatever, or if you're listening on whatever platform, let us know what we did and how we did well or poorly, what we need to work on. We love to enjoy your feedback and apply for future episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to see your voices on, our iTunes reviews or even just emailing us directly. Yeah,
Mhm.
we want to hear what you guys think of the show.
Just find us
All
at
right, that's all
Training.
for me.
Yeah, find us
Yeah,
on Training Brains, and we'll see you next week.
yeah. We'll see you next week. Bye, bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.